Okay? So here's our name, diphosphorus trioxide. All right, so we're going to have a P2 and an O3. And then, remember, I've got a compound. What can I do with a compound? The only thing. What's the only thing we can do with a compound? Separate it. So we're going to separate it into its elements. We've got a P and we have an O. Okay, now let's remind ourselves, anytime we make those, we need to say, are there any diatomics? Yes, there is an O, which is O2. Are there any other funny ones? Remember, I'm going to always put the funny ones up at the top with a star. And if I could highlight it for you, I would, but I can't. So you're going to have to remember to look for the star. Yes? P4, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to have to look for P4. And once you have those correct elements, then you can balance it. And for this one, you'll notice you have an odd number and you have an even number. You have a 3 and a 2 for the O. So when you have an odd and an even number, you are going to find the lowest common multiple, the LCM, which is in this case 6. So you're going to put a 3 in front of the O2 to give you 6 O's. You're going to put a 2 in front of the P2O3 to give you 6 O's. And, that just very fortunately gave us 4 phosphorus, and then we've got 4 phosphorus, and we are done. Okay? Let's do an example with an ionic compound at the start. Okay, so we have here silver sulfide, number 13. Again, this is on page 57, if you've just come in, and we're doing number 13. Silver sulfide, AgS. Tell me how much you love or dislike that. You can either thumbs up me or thumbs down me. If you're thumbs downing me, that's good, because silver, if you have an ionic compound, you have to balance the charges. And Ag is +1, sulfide is 2-, and so we need to have Ag2S. It's going to break down into its 2 elements. One of them is Ag. The other one is S. Are any of those diatomic? None is diatomic, but one of them is weird. Which one is weird? Sulfur, and sulfur has to be S8. Okay, and that means that now we need 8 sulfur, which means we put an 8 here, which gives us 16 silver, so we have a 16 there. And I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to work on page 57. Okay, so take a few minutes, work on page 57. Hi, what can I help you with? Pencil sharpener. Yes. Oxygen is diatomic, so we're going to put a 2 there. And now our products, CaO2. How much do we love my product? Do we love it? Do we hate it? Yeah. Yeah, how do the charges balance out there? They don't. So that's just plain old wrong. What is the charge of calcium? 2+. What's the charge of oxygen? 2-. So what should it be? Just CaO. Okay, so don't look at this 2 and say, oh, I gotta have a 2 over there. No, no. Balance your charges, okay? And so that's going to be CaO, and then you would balance it by putting a 2 here and a 2 here. Let's try another one. Want to try, let's do number 10, because there's a little thing written at the top here. It says, assume copper takes on a charge of +2. Okay? So don't forget to read things at the beginning of questions. So we have copper, Cu. We have sulfur, which is S. Are any of those diatomic? No. Are any of them special? Yes. S is 8. So we should have then CuS8. Do we love that or do we hate it? CuS8. Okay, so let's assume that copper takes on a charge of 2+. Sulfide has a charge of 2-. So what is the formula of copper 2 sulfide? Cus. Okay, so then we have to balance it by putting an 8 here and an 8 here. All right, so you're going to spend a few minutes working on page 59. And if anyone's finished everything, I have a practice quiz I can give you, but I won't hand it out until you're done everything. Okay? And I'll go. I did the entire page backwards. All the complicated services.
H or H. I have only one H over here. Yeah, go to the challenge. One here, Alex, sorry. That's what I'm feeling today. Oh, Alex, Brandon. What's the age? I know where is this called? All the ones that straight on. Like I don't know. But yeah, this is my first time. Because what is that? I think. No, this is I think we know I'm sorry, I was grass ceremony. He was on the grass ceremony. He was like, we have a quiz. So then Adrian said, no, I didn't have to obviously on it, and then we have time. No, but I was like there for real. It was like I volunteered before I knew I had a quiz. I had to get it at 4 and I got home by 10:15. I had no time to study. I even tried to study this morning, but I couldn't understand it. No, like, this takes no time. Go there and think like, oh yeah, I can do it. And for my English, because like, we've been doing the same thing for the whole week. You just give like 3 tasks, 3 times. Yeah, but this one, I'm coming. That was the practice. What did you do at the 12? Yeah, what should we do? Should I start? Actually, one actually from when the soccer okay, for this one we need a chart. So I love that. Yeah, we need a chart. Right? And then the first time I was ever talking with them, I nobody says no reaction. What does that mean? No, that's oh yeah, they don't replace something like that, so it's like AG. AG, where's AG? AG is over here. Authentication those two are supposed to swap. Now let's see. Okay, and then all the way today they do swap. No, they don't. They don't. Okay, is already in there. Yeah, this is the most active. So strong. Yeah. And on. Okay, zinc and H. No, wait. Yeah, zinc and H. Zinc. I get H is at the bottom. No. Oh, yeah. I don't think it should be like. Actually, if these two don't swap, that means it's making it. Yeah, on. Yeah, like we're doing it. What is K charge? Okay. LCL. I only the two here.
Exactly, that's something I
We're all out. Okay, and everything. Yes, you. What? Oh. That's not gonna be true, because one misses. That's why. That's why. Now teach you for you're not supposed to do that. You're done, bro. You're done. But you know the lesson wasn't for
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Okay, the point of this watching the video is for you to learn the lesson. If you did the homework, what's the point of watching the video? You should stop going thinking that that is not it. Okay, come on this. We do this page, this one, this one. And then we are done. We don't do part D. Part D is too much. We don't do part D. You're playing like this. You're like this. Where's your one? You're done. Done deal.
64. You can take a look at the next time, but.
Now, that's the going I supposed to be no. What is it? This is planned for Tuesday. This is the lesson for Tuesday. I'm not doing the lesson for yeah. Wow, I'm only looking ahead. Okay, let's get it. Yeah. No, actually no. Yeah. Yeah, it's just okay, all the outbounds. Hey, L is on the top.
That's magic.
Hey, let's do another. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, this one.
But on the island.
Great. It's like there's this rule. And they're like most of the time. Most like right? Exactly. I know.
You saved us 5 hours after you called it.
Sorry.
You know how this guy's gonna spend all day.
How are you guys doing? Do you have any questions on it?
Good here.
Okay, friends, we are going to go to page 62. 62. And we are going to be doing some single replacement stuff, but I'm going to skip page 61 for now. I actually need to rewrite this one because it's a little bit out of order. Let's start with page 62. Okay. So these are all single replacements. So they're all going to be an element on its own. And that element is either going to be a metal and if the element is a metal, then it will replace the first element in the compound because the first element is always a metal. Yeah? So if I had aluminum, it could replace gold. Okay, but it would not replace chlorine because chlorine is a nonmetal. All right? Now, if the element on its own is a nonmetal, okay, nonmetal, it will replace the second element in the compound because the second element is always the non-metal. So I might have chlorine replacing iodine. Chlorine would never replace sodium because the non-metal has to replace the non-metal. Now, there's one little problem with this, and our little problem is hydrogen. in single replacement, hydrogen behaves like a metal. Hydrogen behaves like a metal. Now, why is that? It's because when hydrogen becomes an ion, it becomes H plus. And what kind of elements become positive? Metals. So even though it's not a metal, we're going to treat it like a metal. Okay? So when we have the metal here, this could be or hydrogen. Yeah? And this one here could be a metal or hydrogen. So let's take a look at some examples here. We're going to skip this little bit. We're not going to talk about the activity series yet. We'll talk about it right at the end of class. You are still watching for your diatomic elements. You're still watching for P4 and S8. Okay? You are still watching, if you have an ionic compound, all the compounds will be ionic, unless they're an acid, but you still have to balance the charges. All of the ionic compounds have to have charges balanced, and they all have to have the metal first. Okay, you cannot write the metal second. And you have to make sure you're not putting two metals together and you're not putting two non-metals together. They don't go. Okay? Hi. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. You're the best, Ms. Bellier. Mutual Admiration Society. Okay, so here we have a reaction. We have chlorine, Cl2, that's our element, and that is a nonmetal. Okay, and it is reacting with NaBr. And one of the things that very often happens is that students will be like, Cl just comes in and it kicks out the Na and we get ClBr. And do we like that? That is a no. You cannot have a nonmetal and a nonmetal. Okay, so that's a bad thing. There's another thing that's a bad thing. What if we took our Cl2 and we put it together with NaBr and we said, okay, I'm going to get sodium now together with chloride. Are we loving that? NaCl2. NaCl2 or NaCl2? Oh, I haven't written it, so we put over here Br. Okay, there we go. Do we love it? No, because Na has a charge of +1, Cl has a charge of -1, which means that the formula cannot be NaCl2. That is incorrect. It should be just NaCl. And of course, bromine can't just be Br. It has to be Br2 because it is diatomic when it is on its own. All right. Now, here is what it should look like. We should have Cl2 plus NaBr gives NaCl plus Br2. This is correct. And then you would have to balance it using your coefficients. So you would say, okay, I've got 2 Cls and I've got 2 Brs, and that balances everything. Yes? No, because it is not an ion. Yeah? It's neutral, yes. Ammonia is neutral. Ammonium has a +1 charge and is an ion. In what sense? You mean NH? So it would have to, NH4 plus would have to go with a nonmetal. Yeah? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try a couple here. All right, we're going to do the first two together. So we have on page 63, we have zinc. Zinc is a metal. So it is going to replace silver, which is the metal, which means that zinc is going to get together with nitrate. So zinc is going to get together with nitrate. Zn, and you have to say, okay, zinc is 2+, nitrate is -1, so it's not ZnNO3, it's ZnNO3 2. Yeah? And who's by itself? Silver is by itself. Next, we have aluminum, which is a metal. And we have hydrogen, which is a, I'm going to put it in quotes because it's not a metal. It's acts like a metal. Okay? So aluminum is going to replace hydrogen because hydrogen is positive. Yes?
Do we not have to like balance them sort of?
Oh yeah, we have to balance them. So sorry. Yes, absolutely. We have a 2 here, so we need to put a 2 here to get 2 nitrates, and then we need to put a 2 here to get silver. Thank you so much. I totally forgot about balancing. So aluminum is going to take the place of hydrogen. Aluminum is 3+. Sulfate, Al is 3+. Sulfate is 2-. So we need to have 2 aluminums to give us 6+, and we need to have 3 SO4s to give us 6-. And then hydrogen gets kicked out, and of course it is diatomic, so it is H2. All right. And now we balance. Let's balance our SO4. We have 3 of them, so let's put a 3 here. We have hydrogen. Now we have 6 hydrogen, so that's going to be a 3 here. And then we need 2 aluminum, so we're going to put a 2. If I get rid of that arrow pointing at that, we're going to put a 2 here, and that's done. So you guys are going to take a few minutes and go through page 63. Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention this. I remembered in my other block, I forgot for this block. Let's assume that all multivalent metals, so those are all the red zone metals. Assume that all the red zone metals have a charge of 2+. All right, because otherwise we don't know what they are. So let's just make life easy. 2+ is the most common charge. If you have a red zone metal, just make it 2+. Okay? Very good question. Thank you for catching that.
Yeah. One song is one of the school days. Yeah. So far, this yeah. Oh, it's fine. It's housing. Big bless. You're all right.
It's like press.
This one. Positive on charge. Jar, negative on charge. And negative on such. Yeah. But I no balance it. Yeah. Right. No. Yeah, who else could do it over this? Or a lot of things. I'm confident. Yeah.
Anyone else done everything and kind of wants the practicing balancing quiz? Not yet, okay.
If you want to. Oh, actually, no, not for these ones, that's more complicated. Oh, no, no. And these ones are actually a little more complicated, because this last one. We all sort of go a little bit more into our specialty, you know, without a little bias. Or grade 9, you remember grade 9, of course, chemistry, right? And the rest of it was like, oh my god, we gotta do biology and physics, when we did at the end. That's fun though.
We didn't do anything.
No, you didn't want to. Yeah, I know, it's fine. Still have it.
Folks, just so you know, I've had a couple people ask me this. Does it matter whether I write my compound first, or could I write my element first and then my compound? Yeah, it doesn't matter the order of the products or the order of the reactants. You can put them this way or you can put them this way, and they mean the same thing. Okay? So that doesn't matter.
Oh, I see.
Usually, I was like, question one. I think basic chemistry, they was like, sorry.
Practice this, then you're gonna take
Well, actually, that was so sorry.
Monday.
Okay, friends, we're going to take a little look at page 64. All right, page 64. And this is when we have H2O as a reactant. Okay. So if we're doing single replacement and we have water as a reactant, we are going to rewrite water as HOH, and we're going to balance the H's and the OH's separately. Okay? So what that means is that if I have a question like this, if I have K plus H2O, I'm not going to leave it like that. I am going to rewrite it as K plus HOH. Okay? And the reason that we're doing that is because then the H is H plus and the OH is OH minus. So the K is a metal. And we can treat this hydrogen as a metal. And what we're going to have is we're going to have potassium, which is positive, and we have the OH, which is negative. So those get together and form KOH. Yeah? It can, but it does not behave that way. Okay? And why am I writing an arrow? That should be a plus sign. So I have KOH, and then what's left over is the hydrogen. So that's going to be plus H2. Okay? And then we balance the hydroxides separately from the H's. So we have two H's on the right. That means we need to have two H's on the left. That also gives us two hydroxides. So we need to have two hydroxides, which gives us two K's, which means we need to have two K's, and then we are done. Okay? And you guys are going to try 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay?
Turn on you.
Have you signed on to our,
Team, yes, the, I'm so. Have now, have not, if you do so, they're gonna sign up for yourself. It's not much, it's just saying, I am aware the team exists, and I'm aware there's a summer assignment. Yeah. I'm just basically checking to make sure those team exists and there's summer assignment going on. It's like assignment number one. Says. Read it. Yep, that's one. It's literally just doing Windows stuff. Yes. Hello. Yes, it is. That is a person. I would not make fun of that equation. There's also super oxide, which is, it would be Na2O. Crazy.
I mean, no.
one average.
Okay, no,
okay, you have a choice. You can either watch the video at the top of page 61 or I can show you the thing. You had a question?
We'll do that. I'll do this first and then we'll do that. Yeah. Balance it.
yes.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is not balancing A, you're balancing A. I'm just saying, so what you're gonna do is extend 2 H's. H, O, H. Yeah.
I am so upset.
Yes. You don't have to do any of them.
Is that the place where the sheep are?
No material. So I'm just providing these as examples that might be useful to you, right? Yeah, certainly. No, it's.
No, that's weird.
Can you extend?
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Honestly. Never did an essay just things on the ground.
Is it possible for us to get functional codes?
Which ones?
Yeah, it's a practice. It's a
Oh, it's not showing me what we're having.
It is kind of.
Here's my name, this is the old British.
Right, and then there's ones that just send videos, they have complete morsels written down, but you have to take one of them. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, I might just watch the videos.
These little
Follow
They
along.
are
I just want to know, so the other way to build up on it is like something like
and they have a question and answers and it's a
Paradise. or
I think that's like my notes, and this will with your notes, but it's not like the same notes that they want. Like, if you have a question, like, I can do that. Sometimes you can feel that. And English test is really, it's trying to memorize all those 60 paragraphs through. And write them down parts for part, and that was like part of a section of the English test. Writing out, like, either you have to like write that. Oh, I'm still. Oh, yeah. School.
Okay. We are very, very quickly going to go over page 61. I really need to reorder this so it's in the correct order. Okay. So we have a little chart which is called the activity series. And at the top of the chart are the things that are the most active. So potassium is fairly active because it is at the top of the chart. At the bottom of the chart are the things that are the least active. Okay, so if we are comparing potassium and aluminum, potassium is more active and aluminum is less active. So higher up, more active, lower down, less active. Now, let's take a look at a reaction involving potassium as the element and aluminum as the element in the as the metal in the compound. Shh, can you guys stop talking because we've got like 4 minutes left. I'd like to cover this. Okay? If you have a substance, if the element is more active can replace less active. Yes? More active can replace less active. So what's going to happen is that potassium is going to boot out aluminum. Aluminum will be on its own, and the potassium will pair up with the chloride. At that point, you would balance it. Okay? Now, if you have aluminum is the element, less reactive, less active, cannot replace. I'm sorry, I should have colored that blue. Less active cannot replace more active. So what does that mean? That means that if I have a beaker full of KCl solution, then if I put aluminum in it, it just sits there and does nothing. So basically, we can write that there is NR. NR simply means that there is no reaction. So you don't need to write the products. Don't write products, don't balance the reaction. Okay, and the same is going to apply if you have nonmetals as well. A more active nonmetal can replace a less active nonmetal, but not the other way around. And the questions on page 64, numbers 19 to 22, those are going to practice that. We also have a practice balancing quiz, which you're all going to come and grab a copy of. This is a practice quiz. We will go over it on Monday. You will mark your own, and it will not be collected. It will not count for marks. Okay?
I got you, bro.
All the homework is here.
Yep.
You don't need to watch this video anymore because you've already seen the lesson. Okay?
I'm a good man.
Who did Noah get one?
Back right here.
Did Noah get one? Maybe not. Maybe grab one for you. Thank you very much. Make sure you pick up a practice quiz before you leave.
Huh? Why? What happened to you?
After this, you can tell me that. Could you fill this out?
Okay.
Can you give it to me like by Monday?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Did I write the name on it?
Yes.
Just show it your lot. Yeah, testing for that kid. Also, I don't know. And I personally actually, I can look up about it. I fixed it. I can go I could come out from one day.
Thank you, Miss Spence.
That would be great.
I think I'd rather have a free one. Honest. Right, I go. Actually, no, I wanted the house, obviously.
Did you guys get your practice quizzes? Oh, yes. Good.
Yes, that's fine.
All right.
Saying that you can computers.
You guys all got your practice quizzes?
He's spot like a bed.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Stress cooking all night. I'm honestly.
Brandon, you got the quiz, right?
School teaching's done crazy, yeah. And I was repeating the I had the most outlandish. What if I become so good? I become so